I think everyone's born ready. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to Tableau breakout session, launching your own data doctor clinic. My name is Siti.
And I'm AB.
And we are your presenters for today. Before we get started, can I have a show of hands? How many of you are new to Tableau conference? Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have more than 5. I can count. Thank you and welcome to Tableau conference. Thank you for flying all the way down to New Orleans to do more with Tableau. Next, can I have a show of hands? How many of you have been to a Tableau conference and been to one of our Tableau Doctor appointment? Great. 3, cool. Do you mind to share what do you like about Tableau Doctor appointment?
I thought the best thing about the appointment was that you could bring your own data, your own problem, and live with that person, just one-on-one, have them show you, hopefully, how to overcome it.
Bullseye, you got it there. That is the bulk of our Tableau Doctor appointment, is where you have one-to-one interaction with our Tableau expert. If you have any challenges or any Tableau issues that you may have, be it under desktop, creator, viewer, or even Tableau prep that recently. Let's get started, shall we?
Sure.
For today's agenda, we're going to start with introducing about ourselves, AB and I, so that you can know a bit about ourselves. Secondly, we will go through the history of Tableau Doctor.
Then we'll jump into the bulk of our presentation, where we'll talk about how you can launch your own event. That's going to be Data Doctor.
We will not leave you hanging thereafter. We will provide you all the resources and toolkit for you to launch your own Data Doctor clinic. Lastly, questions and answers will be at the end, so hold on to them. We will get to it soon enough. Okay, I'm sure that some of you may be born in some parts of the US or even out of US and settled down to another part of the US. We actually have AB, who is from the East Coast and now has settled down all the way over in the West Coast.
Thanks, Siti. So like Siti said, I'm originally from Cape Cod, came up to Boston, have my BFA in production stage management. It's actually, I think, part of why I like Tableau Doctor so much. It's a little bit of theater and a whole lot of technology, and those are kind of my sweet spots. I joined Tableau in 2012. San Diego was my first conference. Anybody go to the San Diego conference? Nice. Welcome. I worked that event as a doctor and learned a lot from our customers and fell in love with the program. So when I had the opportunity to take it on in a leadership position, I jumped at that. Since then, I have been lucky enough to do a lot of traveling with the program, both here in the United States and internationally. It's part of how I met Siti. We've been able to grow the US practice to about the 2,200 appointments that we're able to offer you here this week. And the thing I'm personally most proud of, that we've increased our on-site cures by about 52%. We hover around 82% globally right now, which is pretty great. Mm-hmm. Fun fact about me, I love cats. Those are my two little guys, Tigger and Roo. They are super snuggly and food motivated, which is something the 4 of us share. Siti and I are both really big foodies, something she's probably not going to mention when she gets up here and says a little bit about herself. This is how much she loves food, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that right now, but if you have a couple of minutes after today's session, come find us and ask us about the time we ordered omakase in Japan and had no idea what we were getting ourselves into.
It's about fish eyes, right?
Oh God, fish eyes.
Hi again, guys. Okay, as you can guess from my accent, I'm not local. I am from Singapore office. Yes, Tableau has offices globally and with APAC headquarters based in Singapore. I am very passionate on philanthropy and youth movement. This is a picture of me where I represented Singapore for a youth exchange program in Brunei Darussalam. I'm actually beside the Crown Prince of Brunei, just doing our royal Wi-Fi. Oh yes, I'm also passionate about my baby boy, whom I just gave birth 3 months back.
He's really cute.
I might be slightly crazy though, because I fly more than 24 hours to New Orleans to meet you guys. It is a very long flight. The airlines messed up the flight. It was no bulk haul, no baby seat. I have a baby boy in my arms all the way. He's doing fine. No, he is doing fine. He's having. Oh, but I flew here over with my husband. So we have a second hands out there. They are doing some daddy and son bonding moment over in the Children's Museum, but the hotel room is in a mess. I came back. The clothes are all over, diapers are all over, and he said, "What's happening?" I said, "No, nothing's happening."
Oh, and we can't cure everything.
Okay, remind me again, I saw a couple of hands out there that someone has been to a Tableau Doctor appointment, right? Would you like to share what are the benefits of Tableau Doctor appointment with those who have not been to any Tableau Doctor appointment before? Anyone else? No? Okay, it's okay. The benefit of going there?
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. I think we heard a little bit just a minute ago, some of the benefits of going to Tableau Doctor is that one-on-one connection you're able to make with that expert. So some of the things that we find are really important to our customers here, again, that one-on-one, live, in person, you can just do a lot more when you're face-to-face with someone. Here at Conference, we offer a couple of different appointment strategies to fit your different scheduling needs. We do some that are pre-scheduled, some that are drop-in, and some really quick kind of office hours type appointments over at our Minute Clinic. And one of the things I think that is really important outside of just offering a solution is providing our customers with recommended resources to take a look at maybe after the appointment. It's that documentation that supports the solution that was provided there. The reason I'm telling you this is I just want you to get a feel for the program that we've created here at Conference and why it might be important for you to bring that back to your organizations. So quick timeline of Tableau Doctor. We actually started back in 2008 at the Seattle conference, which is kind of tiny. Started to grow the program there because people were really excited about it. In 2011, we took that kind of on tour domestically to a couple of locations and started to grow in size as well. Popularity of the program was so great that we started to bring it to our on-tour conferences. And that's where I started to meet Siti. She joined us for that first conference in Sydney and helped us build out the program in our APAC space. Since then, the lessons that we learned at all of those conferences, because we stumbled just like everybody else in growing the program to this size, allowed us to do what we're doing here this year, to our biggest events in London and here in the Big Easy. Next year, with a combination of customer feedback and employee feedback, we will iterate on that again in Berlin. And for where we're going this year, you're going to have to wait until tomorrow morning for that one. All right, so why am I telling you this? We don't want you to stumble like we did over the last 10 years. So what we've done is we've taken all the lessons we've learned over the years and put together a collection of resources in a toolkit for you. And we'll have the link to that at the end of the session here today. What that does is give you a lot of the tools that we use to actually run Tableau Doctor downstairs and put them in your hands. So there's a lot of examples with data files and collection tools and instructions on how to analyze, workbook examples there for you. Branding, checklists, all that good stuff. All right, so let's get started talking about that. So like I said, this is the bulk of our presentation. We're going to talk specifically about launching the event. We're going to be pretty high level. Again, we've got some more detail in that toolkit. But the first thing we want to talk about is purpose and concept. That's the foundation of your program. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here and then talk about tools later. So defining your purpose and why you're doing what you're doing. Data Doctor is really cool. I think it's really cool. It's why Siti comes to conference every year with me. It's why people clamor to get into the program and serve as doctors. But why are we actually doing it? What's the business need in your organization that is causing you to say, people need help, and we need to come up with a way to help them. What we're doing right now isn't working. This is a really creative solution to provide those answers. So start with your business need. A couple that we've heard from organizations who are starting programs like these include, you've got a lot of people who have access to Tableau. Not a lot of people are using it yet. So we have an engagement problem there. Or you might have a lot of users who have access to the program. They're really excited to use Tableau, and they hit their first roadblock, and they have no idea where to go next. So now we've got an enablement issue. And those are two things that Tableau Doctor or Data Doctor in your organization can help you overcome. So once you identify your need and you set your goal on what success looks like, now we need to talk a little bit about metrics on how we can evaluate how close we're getting to success there. And the reason I bring all this up is when we talk about tools, we're trying to collect data as part of those tools so that we can actually put this into a iteration loop and make sure that every event you hold gets a little better every time. So defining what your need, goal, and metric is up front will help you make a lot of decisions down the road and not have to switch out tools every other year and drive yourself and everybody else crazy. All right, so those are like the high nuts and bolts. Now we get to talk about concept and design, which is, the artsy side that I like. Really high level, we're going to talk about patient experience level, and that kind of informs the other two, so your appointment strategy and your organizational culture also. influences your appointment strategy. So patient experience level, those are all the people in your organization who are using or maybe not using Tableau. So if you've got a lot of folks who are at the beginning of their Tableau journey, you might not need an appointment solution that's really sophisticated, because the folks that you have serving as doctors in your organization can probably address most, if not all, of the questions those folks are coming into. If, however, you've got a lot of advanced users in your organization, you're going to need a tool that's a little bit more sophisticated, so you can take the skill or the problem that your patient is having and match it with a doctor who has a skill set to actually address that specific issue. So you're going to need to do a little bit more specific matching. Obviously, as we've come through time, we've gone from just labeling doctors desktop and server to kind of what you're seeing here today with those different appointment topics that are a little bit more specific, and adding on filters for, R as an additional special expertise level, or maybe Spanish, to filter down and get the right doctor to treat that patient. Organizational culture also comes into play when we talk about, are we going to do maybe pre-scheduled or open office hours? We actually know of an organization that does neither. They know that their organization wants to focus on a particular product area or feature area, and so they'll hold almost small group workshops around data visualization, and that's how they run their doctor session, because that provides the most value there. So take a look at your culture. Does everybody thrive on, order and appointments or your Outlook calendar is absolutely what you do every day? Maybe we want to pre-schedule there. Otherwise, if you have a lot of fluidity and flexibility in your organization, those open office hours may be the best choice for you, or anywhere in between. So things to think about as you decide, are we going pre-scheduled? Are we going free-form with questions? Are we doing kind of a workshop? All of these things are Data Doctor. It's just what works best for you. All right, so planning and execution. This is where we talk about tools. None of the tools we talk about here today are the end-all, be-all. They're just suggestions to get you started. But here's our high-level checklist. Check, check, we did that. We're going to spend some time talking a little bit about appointment tools and what to think about there. Issue capture tools, because that's really how you tune your program. You can also take a health check of your organization by taking a look at what kinds of issues folks are coming into your practice with. We're going to skip that secure room, date, and time. Pretty sure you all can handle that, plus it's organization specific. You're the experts there, not me. But we are going to spend a little time talking about identifying staff and selecting the best person for the job, and a little bit about advertising. Examples and communication examples will be in that toolkit for you. So appointment tools. 3 things to keep in mind. Those metrics you set at the beginning. Want to collect some data around that. So things you might want to consider there, patient's name, maybe email address, depending on how you want to do some matching later. Maybe their department. That's going to allow you to figure out, okay, which departments are struggling the most by scheduling the most appointments? Which departments are struggling with particular issues or products? You can do a little bit of analysis there. Your appointment strategy. Do you need to be pre-scheduled? How are you going to do that? Does it need to be real specific? Or can you just do it in Outlook? Can you do it with a sign-up sheet? Because it doesn't matter too much which doctor is helping someone, it just needs to be someone. And the skill matching granularity. So some easy examples. You could do it with Outlook and Excel. It's not the most elegant solution, but you totally could. It's good for really small events. So user groups will sometimes use this strategy if you've been to one of those. If your organization has had a Tableau day, this is the method that they use, kind of a sign-up sheet in Excel and then Outlook invites for the actual appointments. Sometimes those guys just do open office hours too, which reduces some of the stress. You can do it with a Google form that flows into Excel, so preferred dates and times, and then you as the organizer can go through and figure out exactly who's going where, when, and send those invites out. Some of the programs that we have used internally are Setmore and Simply Book Me. So we actually do our own internal Data Doctor process, because sometimes tabloids need a checkup too. We use Setmore for that. That allows you a little bit more granularity in your ability to pick an appointment topic or a skill, associate those skills with a doctor, and then allow your patients to actually book appointments themselves. Simply Book Me we used on tour all last year, so we brought that to Tokyo, London, and Berlin. That was a nice graphical solution, so that was kind of fun. We got to associate pictures with our different appointment topics and doctors' photos, so a little bit of the look and feel that you saw if you've used the app to schedule your appointment here this year. Those are online cloud solutions, so it makes it kind of seamless and easy to use. They do happen to be subscription service, so there's a low or high cost depending on how much functionality you want. Simply Book Me does offer a free level with limited functionality. Again, like I said, there are a million products on the market. These are just some of the ones that we've used or we've seen some organizations use to handle their appointment scheduling. Issue recording tool, couple of things to think about here. First of all, what are you trying to capture? What are the metrics you're reporting on? If we're trying to improve enablement, we're looking at what types of questions people are coming with, and we're looking at how successful our doctors are at solving those issues. So, and then for the end user, that customer service aspect. We call that a prescription form because we're real cute. We used to print them, it has big RX on them. That's that email you get at the end of every session. And there are two really important things about that prescription form for your patient. One, if they get a solution during the session, that's great. A week later, after they've had a week or two's worth of work coming at them, they're going to forget that. I know I do. I barely remember my name by the end of this week. So that provides them with a record that they can refer back to if they experience the same or a similar issue later on. It's also a great touch point to put some of that documentation. That could be some of our Tableau documentation from our knowledge base or our online help guides or our training videos, or for you guys that may include some of your internal resources. So maybe it's your data dictionary, the way your database is structured, what fields actually mean what, where you should go to obtain which data and who should be using it, those kind of things. Just point people in the right direction because as your organizations grow, obviously it gets harder to find those things. For performance reporting, keeping track of whether or not the issue was resolved or not, important to evaluate your staff, make sure this is the right job for them. Also a nice comparison point to see what your patients are scheduling their appointments for and what you're actually helping them with for the people who know the product a little better. We kind of look at the correlation between those two things to make sure that the appointment types we're offering to you actually make sense to you, and we adjust from there given what we're seeing from the doctor's reporting. So some tools we've seen used here, again, you can do it in Excel. It's really ugly and probably hard to work with, but it's really easy to visit in Tableau afterwards. Make it a little easier to input that data, a little bit more reliable that your doctors are going to input things the same way to reduce your data cleaning. Maybe a Google form, because that tosses it into a Google sheet, or SurveyMonkey, which sort of does the same thing. Downside with SurveyMonkey, subscription service, so there's that. Or you can tap into your IT ticketing system. And the cool thing with this, if you're able to get IT on board with it, is you can start to run analysis between what IT is seeing or the volume they're maybe seeing in Tableau tickets versus the type of issues you're seeing, and compare on whether or not the work you're doing at Data Doctor is reducing some of that load on them. A little bit more investment. You got to get all them on board. We actually use Salesforce. That's what our prescription form runs through, so we can do some of that comparison there. I think this is the special sauce. This is what I spend most of my time doing. I spend months actually making sure we have the right staff for you guys. We do that by delivering a skills survey. We give to every single employee who wants to be a part of Tableau Doctor in any given year. We've done it a couple of different ways. Sometimes it's word of mouth. That wasn't real successful. We did it with SurveyMonkey. That was a little better, except everybody had to fill it out multiple times, at least once a year. For employees who are in our London office and maybe here and do both events twice a year, so that was fun. It was mostly really annoying. They got annoyed with it. And so what we started to transition to is a more automated solution. And that ended up being WordPress, because I just happened to have a server under my desk because I used to be in tech support, and the Ultimate Member plugin, which allows you to do really detailed profiles for a user. The benefit of that going to that kind of automated solution is instead of an employee having to fill out that form multiple times, they just have to go in and update their profile when their skills change. Or I send them a reminder as we come to events like this to go and just update your profile. Again, it's all about resourcing, right? Everybody pretty much has Word and Excel or access to OpenOffice or Google Tools. So those are the easiest solutions to work with. SurveyMonkey, that subscription service, that's the next easiest solution. There's some fairly heavy data cleanup you have to do on that. I get real good with the Excel data add-in with that one, as opposed to that database solution, which is putting it right into tables that you can visualize easily in Tableau. Examples for the type of data we collect, how we put it into spreadsheets so that you can visualize it in Tableau, and example workbooks are all included in that toolkit that we're going to give you the link to here at the end. Once you get all that data, then we got to figure out what everybody knows. So we put together a workbook based on what we have found our customers need the most. So we start with the employee's self-assessment of their skills, and we take a look at some particular skills that we have seen a lot of appointment volume around or a lot of issue volume around. So I look at the top 5 for these 2 products, and then I kind of look overall. I kind of roll that all up as an average against our 5 major projects there. So I have a little bit of an idea about what this person's high-level skills are. Then depending on the event, we might want to qualify that data, because some people can be really humble, and that's actually what we found. People tend not to inflate their skill set. Our people tend to be very humble about it. And so we look at their credentials. So when they tell me they're 3s across the board in desktop for everything, and they have their certification in desktop, I'm like, oh, that's real sweet. I'm going to have you update that. Because you're way better at that than you think you are, because you've proved it. We also take a look at their issue resolve rate, and that's one of the reasons you want to take a look at your issue, the data you collect from the issues that you work on site, because you can start to evaluate, okay, does this person really know these things? Or more importantly, are they able to work in that shortened time frame? And that's what we find mostly with people. They're fabulous technicians, but when we ask them to do it in 45 short minutes live in front of someone, that's a little hard. And so we make sure that in putting them in that kind of high-stress, intellectually demanding role, that they're going to be successful. So we use these 2 things to kind of qualify their self-assessment here. Then there might be special things we want to look at. Did you know we just launched prep? Like, that's new. We thought you guys might have questions about it. So we looked for employees who knew prep and knew it well. And we prioritized getting them as doctors or doctors without borders attendings for you all to make sure you had the help you needed there. Also at this conference, we know 2 of the most widely spoken languages outside of English are Spanish and Portuguese. So we look for folks who have that language fluency, again, to get you guys the help that you need. And then, of course, metrics don't tell the whole story. So we always provide an opportunity for the employee to tell us a little bit about themselves, why they want to be a doctor, and what they, any skills that fall outside of all of this knowledge. That might be something really specific to your organization, the particular databases or systems that you use that folks may struggle to use in collaboration with Tableau. There we go. Lastly, if you don't tell them, they won't come. So you need to advertise your event. A bunch of different ways to do that. Word of mouth, of course, is one of the best ways. But if you've got an intranet, posting something up there, promotional emails where you tell people where you're going to be, maybe a little bit about who your doctors are and the types of services that they can offer, and just flyers around your building. It's really grassroots, easy stuff. And we got flyers all over. I mean, we've got some pretty fancy things like those boards. But those electronic boards are really just flyers that, glow. Right? Examples on some of these communication strategies are in that toolkit, so you can kind of just fill in the blank, but tailor them to your organization. We have them kind of in the Tableau voice, but use that or make it fit for you guys. Okay, performance, because we are a data company. It's our favorite part. So we're going to go back to what we started with. That's the reason we're doing the program, our purpose and concept. Take a look at those metrics, make sure we collected the data to report on those metrics, and if we didn't, make sure we do it next time. But here's some of the stuff we look at. So enablement for our doctors. We take a look at all of our doctors, how many cases they worked while they were at doctor, and how many they resolved on site. Right now, our success metric is about 70%. So if you're solving 70% on site, you're curing 70% of your customers, that's pretty good. And we offer training to those who maybe fall below that mark. Or follow up with them and say, hey, what happened? What's going on with you? Oh, we had like the most crazy things. I got a whole bunch of appointments that weren't my skill set. And we can go back and adjust our tools from there. Employee education. So this is kind of cool if you start collecting data about your patients' departments or some other identifying information about them. Generally speaking, most folks who come to Tableau Doctor or Data Doctor are coming for desktop help. That's where you create everything in the product, right? But you're going to have some departments who struggle a little bit more with different products. Here we've got IT and engineering struggling a little bit more with Tableau Server. Well, that kind of makes sense. They're probably power users there. You can use this data to either offer theme days with your Data Doctor program targeted to those departments, or think about training opportunities for them. Maybe it makes sense to go in there and do kind of a boot up program or get them involved in maybe some of the Tableau training that we have available for you. But here's some of the data you can start to use to provide to your management chain on why we need to do X, Y, or Z. Similarly with individual skills. So we see a couple of folks, pink is high, blue is low, who are struggling with particular skills. We've got IT and analytics and development. So those two skills in particular are kind of a pain point across multiple departments. So again, kind of looking at it from the, do we offer a theme day? Do we offer specific training? Or do we continue to do the program as we do right now? But the knowledge gap analysis is always my favorite. Because you can do it with the appointment data as well, but taking a look at individual needs, where these folks kind of have low skills across the board with Tableau, versus organizational needs, where pretty much everybody in the organization is struggling with these two topics. And it's just all about the data that you collect from those touch points, from that skill survey, or the issue collection point, or the appointment system that you use. All right, we're actually under time. This is fantastic. I love it. So recap on our goals. Start by defining really clearly why you want to launch a Data Doctor practice, what you want to get out of it. Select your staff, select your tools, identify your metrics all around that concept, and then measure on those goals and iterate based on the data. We believe this program is a really powerful feedback loop to drive engagement and enablement in your organization, so that you get more people using and loving Tableau like you all do.
Cool. Thanks, Amy. So, do you have any questions so far? Okay, if not, you can turn to your neighbors. We are quite evenly spread out. Turn to your neighbors and talk to each other. What are you struggling in your organization, and what do you hope to achieve when you launch, or if you launch this Data Doctor clinic in your organization? And how you can actually use this effectively so that you can improve the Tableau learning curve in your organization. We just give it a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Take a moment, think about it, share with your neighbor. y'all back here for just one more minute. Anybody find a really great idea from their neighbor, or just come up with them themselves? Anybody want to share with the class? I'm interested because I always want to improve Tableau Doctor, so I'll steal ideas from you guys too. I have no shame. Anybody? Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest challenges that we were just discussing in my observation is not necessarily that we need help at the point of production.
Mm-hmm.
It's that we need help for our users to understand the concepts.
Mm-hmm.
We gradually migrate people away from big Excel spreadsheets and big Excel reports, and they're not optimal yet. Moving on to a complete visualized environment where we're doing things with graphs and charts and interactivity and things like that. So I think something like this would help, as I said, not necessarily producing the reports, but consuming the reports. It's more or less the same, it's exactly the same concept, right? But used in a slightly different form.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a great point, and that's what's kind of nice about this program. You make it look easy, it's free. So running, it sounds like maybe workshops. My wife worked for your organization, say, hey, here's what we started with. This is the old report. Look how great it could be here. This is how you find everything you used to be looking for. And just walk them through that process and get them excited about using the new reports you're generating. It's really nice. Thanks. Anybody else? Great new ideas? Sure.
So our analytics are very decentralized. Every department has their own analyst, and we have like 14 people here. We didn't even know that most of them were coming. So we're using this partially to help build out just a community of user base, in addition to go ahead and formalizing more of the assistance that we already have.
Fantastic. Yeah, Data Doctor and Tableau Doctor kind of rides right at that intersection between production and building community. We have folks from all over the company who participate in Doctor as doctors and as some of that front desk and orderly staff that we have supporting the program. So yeah, we feel like a family by the end of this week for sure. Yeah.
Kind of like a public share, but
Sure.
we're just kind of rolling out what I would almost call like light well Tableau support,
Okay.
in that it's more like centrally supporting them in siloed organizations. And one thing we're struggling with, I think we're looking to nash some of this ideation with an offering, which is
Mm-hmm.
we tend to think of things in terms of projects, and
Yeah.
every time someone needs our help, we're sort of disciplined to feed them up with what's the scope and who's
Yeah.
involved and all this stuff. But a lot of this stuff is self-service, but it's also never like an hour or two. It usually
Mhm.
grows into like days when we decide to say we'll help you. I'm curious if anyone has any ideas for like what's the intake form look like to get help? How does it get scoped? Is there a service model where you're helping people for a couple of days, and like how do you scale a support team that's kind of central that doesn't have the context,
Yeah.
where the business. So those are some of the things that I'm thinking of. But I think the idea of this is that you have to fit something to work within the organization and the use cases. But
Mhm.
that's something I'm struggling with because we have like 20 organizations and 3 are like 90 something percent subscribed to using Tableau, and then there's a lot that are negligible and some in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So the user community is very siloed.
Right.
If we're information wall reasons, it's not organizational problems.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah, it's an interesting problem. When you say the organizations, are they completely separate organizations, or are we talking about?
It's like Sarbanes-Oxley, like inside,
Yeah.
private equity can talk with real estate,
Okay, yeah.
you can't talk with private wealth. So
Mhm.
these 3 groups have their varying degree of analytics
Mhm.
capability. So we have some groups that are like super users and some that don't even know self-service stuff exists. So how do you create a model like that? Do you just focus on junior, or do you make your champions more successful? And we're kind of always debating what is that 1 or 2 individual century look like to support those people to be confident.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult challenge. So it's centralized or decentralized. How do you roll out something that's decentralized? Well, so these are just thoughts.
No, absolutely. I think some of the, and I don't know if this addresses any of your thoughts at all, But some of the feedback that we've had just in running Tableau Doctor every year, I get at least one person who says, you should do this all year. And for me, I'm like, we do, it's called support. But it's that same kind of thing, right? We have all of you from all over the country and all over the world and different organizations who may or may not be able to talk to one another about the data specifically. But we bring you here to do this. And some of the things that we're looking at, some of the reasons that we're launching this Data Doctor program is almost a train-the-trainer model. So thinking about, okay, you get your team really well-versed in Tableau and how it works, the fundamentals, After that, yeah, you need to know a little bit about how that data is structured to help people really specifically, but we do that in 45 minutes. We only sort of know how your data is structured. We just know the product really well. So if you can get your IT team really well versed in the product and then help those organizations that you're helping that know their data best, you can partner there, level up their Tableau skills. They've got the organizational knowledge behind them. And that's what we've seen in a couple of organizations that our consulting teams have gone into. They've started originally delivering Tableau Doctor, Data Doctor sessions in those organizations until their folks were ramped up enough that all the hard questions started going to them, and we just slowly backed away. They took over the program themselves.
I think that's the only way that we get those successes. Usually it's like as soon as the organization is in Tableau,
Oh, yeah.
it's then like more forward in line, and then it's multiplied. Like doing it centrally is difficult.
Yep. Yeah. No one actually really likes to be told what to do, so I do bottom off a little bit. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad you mentioned community, going back to that a little bit. And like I was talking about before, offering your patients additional resources to help them after the appointment is always really important. So as you go and look for our session, hopefully sometime late next week, I think all of these go out to you all. We have some additional stuff here for you, but that toolkit I kept alluding to, that's the link there. It's case sensitive, so zoom in. Sorry, it's in blue. And the other thing that Tableau is launching this week are these community toolkits. So check out this website too. There are additional toolkits up there for you to take a look at. One of them is ours for Tableau Doctor, or for Data Doctor rather. The other one is launching user groups within your organization, or Viz Games, which is based on the Iron Viz program. I think that kicks off tomorrow. It might be tonight. Tonight, thank you. So check those out because they're super cool too. Sydney and I will stick around for a little while for questions, so we're here for that. Unless you need to, go grab another cup of coffee. But please remember to rate our session, hopefully highly, and be out there for you. And we hope you enjoyed your time here with us today. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.